What if I told you that one single decision made in a matter of hours could drag the entire world into a war nobody is ready for? What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this, the Middle East is sitting on a powder keg, and America may have just lit the match? Stay with me, because what's unfolding right now is not just another news cycle. This is history raw, dangerous, and moving fast. Welcome back to History, Veil the channel, where we cut through the noise and give you the full picture. I'm glad you're here, because today we're diving deep into one of the most explosive geopolitical crises of our generation. Iran has struck back. America has made its move. And the Middle East, a region that has been boiling for decades, may have finally reached its breaking point. If you've been following this story on the surface, buckle up, because we're going beneath it. To understand what's happening right now, you have to go back not just weeks or months, but years. Iran and the United States have been locked in a shadow war for decades. Sanctions, proxy battles, assassinations, cyber attacks, secret negotiations. This relationship has never been clean or simple. But something shifted. Something changed the calculus entirely. America made a move that Tehran considered a red line. And Iran, a nation that has always preferred patience and proxy warfare over direct confrontation, decided that this time, patience wasn't enough. The strike came with a message, not just military, but political. Iran was telling the world, we are not afraid. We will not be cornered. And we will not let American power go unanswered in our own backyard. Now, whether you believe that's justified or reckless depends on where you stand. But what no serious analyst can deny is this: the response changed everything. Here's what makes this moment so uniquely dangerous. We are not dealing with the same Middle East of 2003 or even 2019. The alliances have shifted, the weapons have evolved, and the players involved are no longer operating in isolation. Iran doesn't just fight with its own military, it operates through a vast network of proxy forces stretching from Lebanon to Iraq, from Yemen to Syria. Hezbollah in the north, the Houthis in the south, militia groups embedded across Iraq. These are not just political allies. They are military extensions of Iranian power, and they have been mobilized. At the same time, America is not operating alone either. U.S. military assets in the region have been put on high alert. Aircraft carriers, strike groups, special operations forces, the machinery of American military power is moving. And America's allies, from Israel to the Gulf states, are watching every single development with their hands hovering over their own triggers. Now, here's the gamble, and it's a deadly one. When two powers of this scale begin to escalate, there is a phenomenon that military strategists call the security dilemma. Every defensive move looks offensive to the other side. Every act of deterrence looks like preparation for war. And once that spiral begins, stopping it requires enormous political will, diplomatic back channels, and above all, the absence of miscalculation. History tells us that miscalculation is almost always guaranteed. Think about how World War I started. Not because world leaders sat down and decided they wanted a global war, but because a series of escalations, alliances, and assumptions locked every player into a chain reaction nobody could stop. The Middle East right now has every ingredient for that same kind of catastrophic momentum. Iran believes it must respond to maintain credibility. America believes it must respond to maintain deterrence. And both sides are convinced the other will blink first. But what if neither blinks? That is America's deadliest gamble. The assumption that Tehran will absorb the pressure, that the economic strangulation of sanctions combined with the threat of overwhelming military force will eventually force Iran to the table. That assumption has been tested for over 20 years. And Iran is still standing, still pushing, still expanding its influence across the region. At what point does this strategy change? At what point does Washington admit that maximum pressure has not produced maximum compliance? And here is human cost becomes impossible to ignore. We talk about strikes and counterstrikes, about red lines and deterrence, about strategic depth and military positioning. But behind every one of those terms are real people. Soldiers who won't come home, civilians caught in the crossfire, families in Tehran, in Baghdad, in Tel Aviv, in Riyadh, all of them living under the shadow of a conflict they did not choose and cannot control. War is never just a geopolitical event. It is a human catastrophe. And the Middle East has already absorbed more human catastrophe than any region should ever have to bear. Let's also talk about the global dimension, because this isn't just a Middle Eastern story. Oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical choke points on the planet. Iran has the ability to disrupt that flow, and the economic consequences would be felt from Tokyo to London to New York. Energy prices, supply chains, global markets, all of it is connected. A full-scale conflict in this region doesn't stay in this region. It spreads economically and potentially militarily across the entire world. China is watching. Russia is watching. Both have their own complicated relationships with Iran and with the United States. Both have strategic interests in seeing American power stretched, weakened, and distracted. The question of whether either power would step in diplomatically or otherwise is one that every intelligence agency in the West is analyzing right now. And the honest answer is, nobody knows for certain. So where does this go from here? There are three roads in front of us. The first is de-escalation back-channel negotiations, quiet diplomacy, a mutual agreement to step back from the edge. History shows this is possible, but it requires courage and political will from leaders who are under enormous domestic pressure to appear strong. The second road is a managed conflict, a continued cycle of strikes, counterstrikes, and proxy warfare that never quite explodes into full war, but never truly ends either. A cold war with hot edges. The third road, and the one the world must do everything to avoid, is full-scale regional war. A conflict that pulls in multiple nations, destabilizes the entire Middle East, and sends shockwaves through the global order for a generation. America's gamble is that it can stay on the first or second road, while making Iran believe the third road is real. That is an extraordinarily difficult needle to thread, and the cost of getting it wrong is almost unimaginable. This is the moment, right here, right now, where history is being written. Not in textbooks, not in classrooms, but in war rooms, in missile silos, in embassies, and in the streets of cities that the rest of the world is only now beginning to pay attention to. At History Veil, we believe that understanding history, including the history being made today, is not optional. It is essential. Because if we don't understand how we got here, we have no hope of understanding where we're going. If this video gave you a deeper picture of what's unfolding in the Middle East, do me a favor, hit that like button, because it genuinely helps this channel reach more people who deserve to know the full story. Subscribe to History Veil if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown like this one. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think America's gamble will pay off? Or are we watching the opening moves of something far larger? I read every comment, and I want to hear from you. History is not something that happens to other people. It is happening to all of us right now. And at History Veil, we'll be here every step of the way, making sure you understand it. Stay informed, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.